Right now, this is one of the scariest times to be an employee, and I should know because when I worked a full-time job, I lived through 3 downturns where there were mass layoffs across many different departments of my company. Already this year, over 320,000 people have been fired from their jobs. Now, I still remember the mass hysteria I experienced during the dot-com bubble at my last job. I was sitting in my cubicle, watching my friends and coworkers pick up everything they owned into cardboard boxes as over 25% of my company was fired. People were in shock. People were angry and people were crying, and it was ugly. One of my coworkers, Vivian, had just signed her daughter up for private school that cost $40,000 a year and was frantically trying to figure out how to avoid pulling her out of school. It was horrible. Now, as of right now, the labor market remains tight. Companies are slow to hire, and there are expected to be further cuts later in the year. Not only that, but interest rates are at 22-year highs. The Americans' outlook on the economy is getting worse by the month, and recession is looming. Now, economic downturns make a lot of people poor, but if you position yourself right, this is also a great chance to make the kind of money that most people could only dream about. After I survived my 3rd downturn, I finally decided to go out on my own, and since then, I've started multiple 7-figure businesses and quit my job altogether in 2016. Now, because I don't want you to experience the horror of packing up all your possessions in a cardboard box and losing your income overnight, I went out and found 5 businesses that are recession resistant. These are all businesses that you can start this year where you can win no matter what. Now, the right recession-proof business for you really depends on 2 things: how much you are willing to invest and your skill level. So let's start with businesses that require very little upfront money and very little skill. If you don't have much money to invest, then I would highly suggest starting a service-based business, and specifically one that you can potentially scale. Right now, there are 3 service-based businesses that I love: landscaping, tutoring, and delivery. And the beauty of a service-based business is that it costs very little money to start. If you're the only one running the business, you get to keep all the profit, and there's a low risk of failure because you don't need to spend much money up front. They're also beginner-friendly, which means that you can start with no experience and it's easy to find clients. For example, I have a good friend who is a singer on Broadway, but during the pandemic, Broadway was completely shut down. There were no performances, and when you can't perform, you can't earn money. But instead of just sitting at home doing nothing and going into debt, she decided to give virtual singing lessons online. By using platforms like Upwork, Guru.com, or Tutor.com, she used her Broadway credentials to attract a loyal clientele and ended up making more money teaching singing virtually than her real job on Broadway. One of my former employees for Bumblebee Linens owned a van, so we decided to start doing deliveries for Amazon.com on the side. And over time, he reinvested his earnings back into his business, and today he owns multiple semi-trucks and he's scaled his delivery business to several employees. These people aren't outliers either. I have multiple friends and acquaintances that have started 6- and 7-figure businesses which cost next to nothing to start. Now, the beauty of a service-based business is that your only cost is your labor. If you decide to scale up this business, you have no inventory and no big expenses, and the risk of bankruptcy is actually quite small. Now, after my former employee grew his fleet of trucks, he started targeting larger delivery contracts with commercial businesses. And guess what? A lot of those contracts pay up front. You get paid before you provide the service. Also, you don't require any licenses or certifications for most service-based businesses, and finding clients is really easy thanks to services like Upwork. You can then use your profits to invest more in equipment, marketing, and more employees. So if you have no money, start a service-based business. And here's a dirty little secret to help you get ahead. Most service-based businesses suck at internet marketing. So take a little time to learn local SEO, and you'll be able to rank your service businesses in Google and attract clients on autopilot. Are you excited yet? Well, not so fast. Here's the main problem with a service-based business. Any service-based business requires your time to make money, and there are only 24 hours in a day. In order to create a business that can scale easily, you have to sell a product online. A product that you develop once and sell to many people without having to do any additional work. And this is where e-commerce comes in. Now, there are many different ways to sell products online depending on how much money you have to start with. And in general, the more money you are willing to invest, the more money you can potentially make. By the way, if you're interested in starting your own e-commerce store, make sure you sign up for my free 6-day e-commerce mini course below. Now, if you have very little money to invest, you can start out by dropshipping. Dropshipping is an e-commerce business model where you take orders online and your supplier stores and fulfills the order on your behalf. As a result, you don't have to pay any money up front for inventory. Instead, you only pay your supplier after you collect money from your customer. Now, using the dropshipping business model, my kids started their first online store when they were only 9 and 11 years old, selling entrepreneurship t-shirts online over at kidincharge.com. By leveraging a print-on-demand company called Printful, they would create their own designs, and when an order came in, Printful would print and fulfill the order. And even though my kids were still in elementary school at the time, they managed to make $1,000 in their first month. But the disadvantage with dropshipping is that the margins are low, typically on the order of 10 to 30%. So once you find out what products sell well on your website, you should create your own custom branded products. So using my kids' store as an example, if they found that one of their designs was selling exceptionally well, it would make sense to have a large quantity of shirts pre-printed in China for less. So instead of paying $12 a shirt to Printful, they could literally source their printed shirts for as little as $2 per shirt. Now right now, my kids are selling their shirts for $20, so instead of making only $8 per shirt, they could be making $18 per shirt. If you look at my online store over at bumblebeelinens.com, all of our products are sold under our own brand, and as a result, our margins are upwards of 90+%. And the best part is that the amount of money we can make has nothing to do with the number of hours in a day. We create a product once and continue to sell it over and over again to new customers. Now you're probably wondering how to attract customers to your online store. Well, the secret is to build an online presence. What do you do when you want to buy something online? You search for it. So one of the things that you can obsess over is search engine optimization. Now, one of the best ways to rank in search and build an audience of potential customers is to create content around your niche. Most people just throw up a website and list their products online, but the successful store owners have a YouTube channel or a blog or a social media presence. For example, my friend Parth grew his online store selling pup rings by creating content on TikTok. My student Angela grew her jewelry business over at Azura Jewelry to 7 figures from organic Instagram alone. My online store grew by creating arts and crafts content for would-be brides. Once you start creating content, you'll establish a connection with your customers, which will greatly improve your sales. Here's another example. My wife follows many beauty channels on YouTube, and she tends to buy what they recommend. And many of these beauty content creators sell their own branded products as well. This type of marketing is the future of e-commerce. Now, the beauty of creating content is that other companies will find you and pay you to endorse their products as well. For this YouTube channel that you are all watching, I can charge between $5,000 to $10,000 per sponsored video. In addition, I generate between $15,000 and $30,000 every month on advertising alone. Not only that, but my YouTube channel is a major lead gen into my paid online courses. Because I've created an audience over time, I can literally sell anything I want. Having my blog, podcast, and YouTube is what has allowed me to launch my annual e-commerce conference nearly a decade ago. I simply sent out a couple emails to my list and my conference sells out, and it's sold out every single year for the past 9 years. Now, aside from creating content, you also have to focus your energy on getting referrals. People like to talk, and believe it or not, most businesses only get 10% of their sales from referrals. Now, to increase the number of referrals to your shop, you can use a service like Referral Candy, which allows your customers to provide a coupon code to anyone they refer, and here's how it works. If the referral buys from your store, the referee also gets a gift card as well. It is a win-win, and programs like Referral Candy incentivizes everyone to refer your business to their friends. Now, to create a solid foundation of customers, you must also focus on getting repeat business. Most business owners spend so much time and money acquiring new customers that they neglect the most important people of all, the people who have already bought from you before. And in general, it is 65% easier to sell to people who have bought from you before. After all, they've already opened up their wallets and they trust your store. So getting them to buy again is often as simple as just sending them an email. Every single time you get a new customer, you must have a post-purchase autoresponder sequence in place to follow up with everyone immediately. For example, our post-purchase sequence sends people automated emails depending on exactly what they purchased. We sell matching styles of napkins in our store: cocktail, tea, and dinner napkins. If a customer purchases cocktail napkins but not tea or dinner napkins, we automatically send them an email that looks like this. Basically, we remind them that we sell matching napkins and encourage them to purchase the full set. For our larger customers who purchase a large quantity of linens, we always call them up on the phone, and here's what we say. We notice that you purchased a large quantity of handkerchiefs. Are you by chance an event or a wedding planner? And if they say yes, we offer them a special coupon code and a dedicated representative to take their future orders. We take care of them and they stay with us for life. Now you must use both of these strategies for every single customer. But overall, whether you start a service-based business or an e-commerce business is up to you. But one thing is for sure, the economy is in a bad state and you don't want to ever be blindsided with a layoff. As I mentioned before, this is one of the scariest times to be an employee. Interest rates are at 22-year highs and there are wars across the world and crazy inflation. Now there's an old saying that I like to live by. Market downturns always offer opportunities for those who are prepared and ready to seize them. So be prepared. But now that you understand what's going on, make sure you watch this video here on how to get started with your own e-commerce business from complete scratch.